Now, there were haunting tones of Islamic prayer in Parliament today, and it moved MPs to tears as they held a special session to pay tribute to the victims of the mosque attacks. It came as yet more inflammatory comments by Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan rippled through the beehive. He described the Christchurch shootings as part of a wider attack on Turkey and threatened to send back in caskets anyone who tried to take the battle to Istanbul. President Erdogan had already been criticised for playing footage of the mosque shootings uploaded by the accused gunmen at political rallies over the weekend. But politicians here did not want that overshadowing such a significant day for New Zealanders still in mourning. Here's our political reporter, John Gerritsen.
It was an unprecedented and poignant moment for New Zealand's Parliament. The Speaker of the House, Trevor Mallard, was joined by leaders of all faiths walking in procession into the chamber. Imam Nizam ul Haq Thanvi opened the session with a prayer for patience and comfort in Arabic.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يا أيها الذين آمنوا استعينوا بالصبر والصلاة إن الله مع
Several MPs were visibly moved to tears. The Prime Minister, Jacinda Ardern, opened her address with a traditional Arabic greeting.
Mr. Speaker, Assalamu alaikum. Peace be upon you and peace be upon all of us.
Jacinda Ardern said Friday, March the 15th, had become New Zealand's darkest day. She paid tribute to the victims and their families and to the police and first responders before urging New Zealanders to do more to make their country a safer place for everyone.
Safety means being free from the fear of violence, but it also means being free from the fear of those sentiments of racism and hate that create a place where violence can flourish. And every single one of us has the power to change that.
National Party leader Simon Bridges said the victims of the attack had lived in the belief that New Zealand was the best little country in the world and they had been let down. He said all New Zealanders shared their grief.
The unimaginable hurt that our Islamic community is feeling is shared amongst all New Zealanders, because I know that every New Zealander feels this wasn't just something targeted at our Islamic community or just to Christchurch, as real as that is. It has happened to all New Zealanders, and all New Zealanders are grieving with them.
The leader of the New Zealand First Party, Winston Peters, said the terrorist had tried to divide New Zealanders, but he would not succeed.
Friday, March 15, 2019 is the day everything changed in our country. A day when someone from outside our shores attempted to terrorise us and tear us apart. That, we believe, was his objective, and he has failed. Why? Because violent extremism, whatever its origin or form or creed, is utterly rejected by New Zealanders.
Green Party co-leader Marama Davidson said New Zealanders must do more to face down racism and violence.
We must never again ignore or contribute to anti-Islamic hatred as part of the rise of white supremacy and extreme white right ideology. As one young Muslim woman said, "We've now lost lives, so I think it's time that we started having the uncomfortable conversations."
The leader of the ACT Party, David Seymour, offered condolences to the victims and condemnation to the attacker.
I extend not just to those who were attacked, but to every Muslim New Zealander, our sympathy, but also our solidarity. It is important that that solidarity is comprehensive. So let us close ranks around the cherished values of our country.
MPs joined in song before Parliament adjourned. Outside the debating chamber, Jacinda Ardern embraced members of the Muslim community who had come to observe the session. Close by, the Foreign Minister, Winston Peters, who's travelling to Turkey this week, was answering questions from reporters about President Erdogan and his threats to send people home in caskets.
The misinformation that's been spread around the world has to be cleared up. We make it very clear. This is not an act of a New Zealander. It's a foreigner on our shores that perpetrated this absolute terrorist atrocity. And we've got to get that clear. Then things will be sorted out.
So do you think the President is placing the blame on New Zealand? I mean, I know his comments are general, but is that what you're taking from it?
Well, I mean, we've got to make sure that they get it very clear all around the world that this was an act by a foreigner on the shores of this country. And we are as much a victim as anything.
Before going to Turkey, Mr Peters will go to Indonesia, a trip that had already been planned, to express condolences for their citizens killed in the Christchurch attacks. In Turkey, he will attend a special ministerial meeting of the Organisation of Islamic Cooperation being held in Istanbul. An important event, Mr Peters says, that will allow New Zealand to join with its partners in standing against terrorism and speaking up for values such as understanding and religious tolerance. Atu I te whare paremata, mo te hotaka o te ahi ahi, ko John Gerritsen aho.